Hey everyone, welcome back to another Merly on Time watch reviews. I'm Chris, I unbox and I review budget watches, and today I'm going to answer this question. Is San Martin really worth that much more than a Pagani Design watch? Stay tuned. So guys, here are the watches that we are going to be looking at today. I'm going to be doing the full review of the San Martin, but for comparison's sake, I brought my Rolex GMT Master 2 Homage by Pagani Design. And I wanted to begin the video by doing something a little bit different. I received another Pagani Design this week that had an all-brushed bracelet. And to see if the San Martin really is better quality in finish than a Pagani Design, I thought I'd put the two side by side to see if you can see the difference in the finish, to see if, in fact, San Martin justifiably charges, a couple of $100 plus extra for their watches. So let's begin. Here is the images, both all brushed, as you can see. And what I'm asking is, can you see which one is the San Martin, the one on the left, or is it the one on the right? Can you see a difference in the fit and finish? Maybe another picture in different lighting. And again, the one on the left, the one on the right. Which one do you think is better finished? Let's go back to that original image. One on the left or one on the right? Let me know in the comments below as you're watching this video as well. Is the one on the left better finished than the one on the right? Is the one on the right better than the left? Are they comparable? What do you think? Here again is the image under different lighting. Is the one on the left better than the one on the right, or vice versa? Can you tell the difference? How about we go over to just a quick little video of the two. So this is the one on the left, and this is the one on the right. Which do you think has a better fit and finish than the other? And again, let's take a look at the case profile, especially at the lugs. This actually might give it away a little bit. You can see some circular brushing on that lug, and then the bracelet has some vertical brushing on it. And then we go to the one on the right, and you have just vertical brushing throughout. And so, what do you guys think is the better watch? Do you think it is the one that was on the left or the one that was on the right? So what's the verdict? Did you guys think the one on the left was better than the one on the right? Could you tell a difference between the two? Was the one on the right better than the one on the left? And what was the one on the left? What was the one on the right? Could you notice a distinguishable difference? Some of you may have, some of you may not have. And so let's reveal what was on the left. So here's the watch that was on the left, and drum roll please. If you guessed the San Martin was the one on the left, you would be correct. And the one on the right is going to be this Pagani Design that I got gifted to me by my pal Fred over at Reboot, a dude. All brushed bracelet, as you can see, and this is the homage to a Pagani Design Rolex Explorer 2. Now, I brought in a different Pagani to take a look at today. We're going to look at some other things, but were you right? Did you guess correctly? Well, for those of you that didn't, there is an argument against the San Martin being worth more money. Maybe those of you that are, have a keener eye for quality might have noticed immediately the difference between the San Martin and the Pagani Design. But let's take a look at this San Martin in a little bit closer detail, and then I want to highlight some other things that I think make it definitely a better watch. But again, is it worth $300 more? Let's find out. So my thanks again to Fred for gifting me. He gave that to me, the Rolex Explorer 2 Homage by Pagani Design that I used to compare the fit and finish against the San Martin. Thought it would be better to do that because, as you can see, this Pagani Design, which probably would have given it away immediately, has an all polished center link and a brushed outer link. And so in order to compare the two side by side and ask you which was better finished, the one on the left or the one on the right, I thought it would have been more prudent to use the all brushed bracelet. And I'm wondering, leave in the comment below, did any of you guess that the one on the left, that it was the San Martin and that it had a better fit and finish than that other Pagani Design? That would be interesting to know in the comments below. I think a lot of people probably wouldn't have been able to tell much of a difference, but let me know in the comments below. So let's talk about this San Martin homage to the Tudor Heritage Blackbay chronograph. Yes, it is a chronograph watch, and I love chronograph watches, and it is absolutely beautiful. We'll begin by comparing it to the original watch that it is paying homage to, and here it is on Chrono24's website, the Tudor Heritage Blackbay chronograph, and you can see it's listed at $7,127, and that is Canadian dollars. And here is the homage of the Tudor Heritage Blackbay by San Martin. And as you can see, they do an amazing job homaging this watch. The only really upfront noticeable difference between the two is that this watch does not have a date window at the 6 o'clock. The bezel on this watch is a ceramic bezel, and it is really, really beautiful. A nice sheen on that. Let me just wipe this off here as we talk about this. And it is a chronograph movement. And you can see on the subdial at the 9 o'clock, that is the running 60-second subdial for the timekeeping of the watch itself. And it is a 30-minute chronograph, and you can see that subdial there at the 3 o'clock. And it has a nice bit of a accent on the seconds hand for the chronograph. Yes, it is utilizing the larger hand to run the chronograph, which is nice. We'll take a look at the side profile here for just a second. You have just brushing, horizontal brushing on the side of this case, and we'll look at the other side in just a minute as well. The pushers on this are nicely polished at the top, and there's some nice knurling around the pushers as well as the crown for ease of access. And so we'll get this chronograph started. In order to start the chronograph, you have to unscrew the pusher. And just a note that if you are going to use this watch, make sure that the pushers are screwed in before you get it in the water. It does have a 100 meters water resistant rating, but if those pushers are out, then you're going to get water inside the movement. And so watch the seconds hand as we engage the chronograph. There's a nice distinct click there. On some of these Seagull automatics that I have seen being reviewed on YouTube, that seconds hand sometimes kind of jumps at the start, but this one doesn't. It just starts very nice and smoothly, and one push will snap back and reset it. And so you can see again that it jumped a little bit there. Let's try that again actually and see what happens. Now some I've seen when you hit that top pusher, the seconds hand will jump almost a couple of seconds and then start kind of running. So let's start again, and there is a nice smooth beginning to that, and that's what I have found for the most part. The other nice thing about this chronograph is it's incredibly legible. The reverse panda on this dial is really beautiful. You can also get this in panda as well with a white dial and black subdials. And as this chronograph winds its way around, it will not stop after 30 minutes. This will run continuously until you stop it and or until the movement runs out of power. And once this gets to the 12 or the 60 second at the top, the chronograph hand will snap over to the first minute mark. And so it's not progressing as the seconds hand runs around the dial. It will actually jump over at the 1. And so let's take a look at that right now because we're approaching it. And so we've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and boom, there it goes. You can see that the minute has advanced, and it will advance to the second minute as it hits the 12 o'clock. So that's a really nice feature as well. The one thing about this watch that I will say impressed me is definitely the fit and finish. Now, it is beautifully finished, really nice satin finishing with the brushing. So you can see the vertical brushing along the case here. You have a nice high polish ring around the outer part of that bezel. And you can see a beautiful chamfered edge here at the lug. And that goes all the way up and around to the other side. And then you have some kind of circular brushing at the lug. Flows with the shape of the case. And then you have some vertical brushing. And it's just beautifully smooth satin finish on the bracelet here and everywhere else. You can see some vertical brushing on the clasp as well, with a polished chamfered edge on the top of the clasp, double security pushers, and a fully milled clasp, as you saw earlier. The fit and finish of this watch is really, really well done, and the camera doesn't really kind of do it justice. You really need to see it with the naked eye, so to speak. The finishing on this watch is definitely nicer than the finishing on this Pagani Design watch or on any of the other Pagani Design watches that I have seen. There is zero question about it that the fit and finish of a San Martin is better than the fit and finish of a Pagani Design. The other thing that I want to comment on with respect to that is the QC issues that sometimes come with a Pagani Design have been noticeably absent from San Martins that I have seen on YouTube reviewed, but this one did come with some quality control issues with the bracelet, especially the top of the lugs. Now, you can sort of see on this one that that is, a little stiff, see? And in fact, this was really, really stiff and hard to move when I first got the watch. It has loosened up some. On the other lug, this was actually, it's loosened up, but this was quite stiff as well. And so, as far as the QC issue on the bracelet is concerned, that is a bit of a problem. And I didn't have that with this particular Pagani Design. And this is unusual from San Martin to have those kind of issues with sticky bracelets or whatever. So beautiful, beautiful watch. I'm super happy with this one. And again, the reason that I love Homage watches, I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but at a fraction of the cost, I am getting a well-made, quality finished watch here for $400. And I'm getting the look and the design of a watch that, as you saw earlier, cost over $7,000. That's why I love Homage watches, because the chance of me buying this watch by Tudor is like, well, there's no chance. And so to have a watch that looks this good and that is really well made is, for a fraction of the cost, is the biggest and most important reason why I love Homage watches. The crown on this watch is just a push-pull crown. You can see it's branded there with the letter S for San Martin, and it is a non-hacking movement, and so when you push the crown out to the first and only position, it will enable you to advance the hour and the minute hand. And in order to wind the watch, you just simply push the crown in and turn it clockwise, and that will wind the watch if it has lost its juice. And as you tighten this, as the mainspring gets tighter as you're winding it, you will feel the resistance almost pushing back against the motion of going counterclockwise. And the nice thing about this movement is it will not allow you to overwind the mainspring. There is a noticeable stop point as you are turning this clockwise. And so you're going to want to make sure that you don't overwind the mainspring and break it. And this movement, the way that this crown engages inside the movement, there's a noticeable stop when you get to the end, and I'm feeling it there, and you just can't wind it any more than that. And so this has a full charge on it. So let's talk quality. Let's actually compare these two watches now. The reason I wanted to do this is because both watches have and share very similar specifications. They're both constructed of 316L stainless steel. Both of them have a oyster style stainless steel bracelet. Both bracelets, by the way, come with screw pins for adjusting the size of the bracelet, and that is really, really nice. Both of these watches have a sapphire crystal covering the dial. Both of these watches utilize special movements. I'll call them special because you have a mechanical hand wind chronograph and you have an automatic GMT in this watch. And so they share a lot of the same specifications. Now let's talk quality. Now the quality of the San Martin and the finishing on the San Martin, again with the naked eye, is definitely better than this Pagani Design. And so it definitely exceeds the fit and finish of a Pagani Design. But by how much? That's the real question. The Pagani Design watch is nicely finished. It's different. It's got a high polished case on the side, no chamfered edge. It's got some nice vertical brushing on the outer edge of the links. It does have a milled clasp, a different style of clasp on it, mind you. But, the question is the fit and finish that much better than the Pagani Design for $300 more? I'm not so sure. The bracelet itself, if you do the rattle test, let's see if you can tell here. So the bracelet is definitely better on the San Martin. It's less tingy when you do the rattle test on it. It does feel heavier. It does feel a little bit better than the bracelet that is on the Pagani Design. So let's talk about the movement, and then we'll talk about the crystal, and then we'll talk about the lume. The movement in each of these watches is running okay. And what I did was I bought myself a time grapher, and I ran the time grapher on the watch 10 times on each watch, and then the time grapher gave me an average output of each of the watches. The Pagani Design has a beat error of 0.3 milliseconds, and so that is quite good. And it loses 23.9 seconds per day. In comparison, the San Martin movement that has the seagull mechanical hand wind movement had a beat error of 0.5 milliseconds, so a little bit worse than the Pagani. But here is where it does run a little bit worse. It had a loss of 31.3 seconds per day on average. And so the movement, the Pagani Design, actually has a better movement in it, spec-wise, than the San Martin does. That actually surprised me. Now the crystal, they're both sapphire crystals, but the San Martin does have some AR coating on the crystal, which is noticeable in the lighting conditions, and so it's definitely got a better crystal because of that than on the Pagani Design, which does have zero AR coating. Now let's do a lume test. Let's compare the lume between these two. The San Martin lume is excellent. The Pagani lume is getting better. Let's take a look at how they fare against each other with respect to lume. All right, so we're charging up the lume. You can see that the San Martin is on the left-hand side and the Pagani is on the right-hand side. And surprisingly, Pagani Design's lume is actually looking not bad at the start of the video. Now I'm going to fast forward, and obviously you're going to see that the San Martin's lume is much better. You can see it's definitely brighter already, but let's just kind of fast forward, and you'll see that after 5 minutes, normally the Pagani Design after 5 minutes is totally gone, but the Pagani Design actually lasts, at least on camera, almost 10 minutes. And of course the San Martin, you can see, is hanging in there quite a bit. Even after the 15-minute mark, it's starting to fade. And so I would say that the lume on the San Martin, obviously, much, much better. So is the San Martin really worth $300 more than a Pagani Design? Well, there's no question that the quality of the watch is better, But is it that much better? Is it that much better that I would be willing to spend $300 more than the Pagani Design? Or would I rather get 2 Pagani Designs instead of, or even 3, instead of 1 San Martin? I guess it really depends on what you want. If you want a quality, well-made watch, San Martin is definitely worth the money. If you want value for dollar spent, Pagani Design is certainly the way to go, because in my opinion, I don't think the San Martin is necessarily that much better, that the price point is that much higher. It's definitely a well-made watch, definitely a quality watch, but I don't think it's that much better than the Pagani Design to justify it being $300 more in this case. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks again for supporting the channel. You can see that we are nearly there at that 750 benchmark, where I'll be giving away a Wayfinder by Fair and Swit. And so if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. And remember, whenever you leave your house, make sure you have a great looking piece to wear on your wrist, like this San Martin, homage to a Tudor Heritage Blackbay chrono. And make sure wherever you're going, you get there on time. God bless you guys. Thanks so much for watching the video. Watch this one if you want. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.